Guys, in today's video I'm going to be talking about my septoplasty surgery that I had, and it was actually 2 weeks ago today. So I had my surgery 2 weeks ago. I'm pretty much just going to talk to you about like the experience, the pain, and everything that I went through. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So it's been as long as I can remember, I've been having like breathing problems, and a few years ago I looked at my nose randomly because it was just driving me so crazy, and I noticed that I could see up the right side of my nose, but the left side of my nose I could actually physically see the blockage. So I like googled it, and then I saw something that was called a deviated septum. And the next time I went to the doctor, I had them check, and they said that yes, it was a deviated septum. A few years went by, and it was still just driving me so crazy. I had asked my primary doctor what he thought about it, and he had told me that I should just ignore it and leave it alone and put it off for as long as I can. So I did that, and it was just getting worse. It was causing anxiety and panic attacks, and I was sneezing constantly, and it was just really uncomfortable. I could feel it rubbing on the sides of my nose. So we decided to go into an ENT, which is an ears, nose, throat specialist. So I went to the ENT, and he took a look into my nose, and he said, yes, your nose is very deviated, and he said the only real option that I had to fix it was the surgery. So I said, yeah, I might as well get it over with. So he took like this camera, and he numbed my nose with a spray, and then he took this camera and stuck it into my nose to check for like growths or something like that. It went up this side perfectly fine. It was uncomfortable, but it was not painful. But when it got to the deviated side, he like had to force it in because there was no space for the camera to fit. So he had to force it in, and even though it was numb, it still hurt. My eyes were watering, and it was pretty painful. So he had told me about like the packing and the splints that I would have to have in my nose after surgery, and he told me that I would have 2 weeks of misery. I was pretty nervous and scared about that. Like, I'm afraid of pain, I'm afraid of doctor's visits, I'm afraid of needles. I was just really afraid of the thought of surgery at all. But I decided that I would rather have 2 weeks of misery than a lifetime of misery, because with the deviated septum that I had, it was just like every day was like annoying and a struggle for me because it was just causing so many everyday problems, and I just wanted to get it fixed and over with. So the next time I saw him was like, I believe 2 weeks after the day that I saw him was my surgery, so it came up really quickly. They got me into the pre-op room pretty quickly. They just put an IV in me, and it made my arm cold, and it felt weird. They then gave me this nasal spray to take every 10 minutes before surgery, I guess to like prep and clean it out or something. Then they like wheeled me off. They put a gas mask on me and put this medicine into my IV, and I went to sleep. So the next thing I know, I woke up, and the nurses were saying, Vanessa, trying to wake me up. And when I finally opened my eyes completely, they wheeled me to the outpatient room. My throat was really hurting. My nose was not hurting at all, I don't think. The only pain that I really felt was in my throat. I could tell that I had stuff inside of my nose, and I could tell that my nose did not feel normal, but I would not say that it was in pain. So the nurse gave me ice chips, and then after the ice chips she gave me apple juice, and then I was complaining about the pain in my throat, and she just gave me crackers and some pain medication. Well, shortly after all of that, my parents and my boyfriend came to visit me, and my boyfriend bought me flowers and balloons, and then my parents had left to go get my prescription, and then they would meet me back at the house. So my boyfriend stayed there with me for about an hour before we went home. He helped me get ready and picked me up in the car, and then we went home. When I got home, I noticed that my nose was very swollen, and my throat was still hurting. My nose was not in pain, it was just uncomfortable. I didn't really want to eat anything. I was just eating fruits and taking my pain medication every few hours like I was supposed to. And I was too sleep elevated while I had the packing in my nose because of like bleeding, I guess. So that was kind of annoying, but I got used to it after a few days. So it was pretty much the same thing, just throat pain and no nose pain for a few days. But the first few days before I had my packing taken out, I had to wear this thing on my face. So you just like wrap this around your ears. And then you have like this gauze, it's just like gauze that's folded in half. And you would wear it right here. And wear it like this. And that was like to catch blood and stuff that would like come out of your nose. This thing, it wasn't like super annoying, but the string on the ears, it got pretty sore after a while and it hurt. But yeah, I had to wear this. I could not breathe out of my nose for 4 days. And I had to use a nasal spray in my nose 4 times a day, or if not more often than 4 times a day. So it wasn't too miserable. I mean, I wasn't feeling the greatest. I couldn't do much. I wasn't allowed to lift heavy things, but it wasn't completely terrible. The blood made me a little bit queasy, but that's about it. So on like the 3rd day after the surgery, I had my packing taken out, which pretty much just looks like giant tampons. And there was one each in my nose to like, I don't know, pack it. But yeah, I had the packing in my nose. It was tied on the outside by a string. I will insert a picture somewhere here in the video to show you guys what I looked like. In the picture, my nose is swollen. And I just look sick because this was directly after surgery. This was like an hour after my surgery, after I went home. After the packing was out, I could breathe out of my nose a little bit, but not really. I did still have the plastic splints in my nose, which are pretty big. They're just like these plastic things. They are sewed into your nose to keep them like in place. Oh, and the packing removal, it didn't hurt. It was just really uncomfortable. And there was a lot of crap that came out afterwards. It was pretty gross, but it didn't hurt. Just make sure that you use your saline spray to keep it moist, because if not, it will get dried up into your nose and then it will hurt when you take it out. But yeah, I had the splints removed a week after the packing, so I had the splints in for 7 days. Like I said, I could breathe a little bit, but not much. I didn't have to wear this thing on my face anymore, which was pretty cool. It hurt a little bit to smile, laugh, or like move my face too much because I could feel like the stiffness in my nose. And it was actually starting to hurt a little bit after this because the air was actually getting to my nose now, which was causing it to hurt a little bit. My throat wasn't hurting as much. It was still in a little bit of pain, but now I had the combination of the nose and the throat pain. And that went on for about 7 days until I had them removed. The splint removal, I would say, was easier than the packing removal. All he did was cut the stitch, which I did not feel, and then he just pulled them out. And it did still have that nasty stuff come out afterwards. It was pretty gross. It did not hurt, it was just uncomfortable because it was this big thing that he was pulling out of your nose, so it was kind of a weird experience. After he removed the splints, he then vacuumed out my nose, and he had this really long vacuum thing, and he stuck it so far into my head. It was really crazy. He just said to be very still because it can get sensitive back there. I felt like he was in the back of my head with that vacuum. It was so weird. So yeah, after I had the splints taken out, I felt a lot better. I could move my face a lot easier. I could still feel a little bit of tenderness even to this day, but it's not painful anymore. I've only had to take pain medication 1 time within the past So within the past like 4 to 5 days, I've only had to take pain medication like one time, which is awesome. And that was for my throat, not my nose. So yeah, after the splints have been taken out, I don't have to go to him anymore unless I have any complications, which I don't think that I will have any. So before I even had the surgery, I said earlier, he told me that I would be miserable for 2 weeks. I honestly was not that miserable. I was in a little bit of pain, but it wasn't unbearable. And now that it's all over, I can actually breathe like a normal person, the way that I should be able to for the first time ever. And it feels so good to be able to breathe out of both sides of my nose. I can sleep normally, I can smell normally, I can taste normally. I just feel a lot better, and I'm really glad that I went through with the surgery. Even though I was really scared in the beginning, I think that it was all worth it, and it wasn't really as bad as I was expecting it to be. So that is it for my septoplasty and turbinate reduction surgery story, I guess. Thank you guys for checking out this video, and please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel to keep up with all of my future video uploads, and I will be seeing you in my next one. Bye guys!